So this morning we wanted to talk a little bit about the themes of the weekend and of this training. And just to begin a reflection of how we can deal with transition. So we want to, before the ending, to talk about some of the themes and some of the gossamer moments that might be of significance. So Jimbo.
Let's see. You've all had a really full weekend, so I'm guessing that you're trying to find ways, and that's what we're going to talk about, ways to bring all these threads together for you. I think journal writing is a really great way to do that. A lot of you I saw had journals. Part of a weekend like this is not all going to happen, during this weekend. A lot of the processing happens after. So don't be surprised if you're going to be moody or go through these weird things, because that's pretty normal for doing a weekend like this. When you think about what we've tried to present to you, greed, anger, ignorance, that can take you through your whole life. It doesn't stop at the end of this weekend. Those topics or issues or things to concentrate on, you can take into your sitting practice and into your life and let it evolve for you. I could take one of those for the rest of my life and just keep contemplating it. One of the ways I contemplate is very much like, I describe it like rock candy, making rock candy. Have you ever done that? You put a string in a solution that's super full of sugar, as much sugar as you can put in it, and then you drop the string in the middle and just wait. And what happens is crystals start to form around the string, and eventually you get something manifested solid. Now it's all the same solution, right? The liquid was liquid, and now all of a sudden you have these solid crystals forming out of the same fluid. And I think of contemplation like that and use it in my life often. So I'll take something like, greed, anger, ignorance, one of those, and just sit with it like a thread and see what comes into it. Leave myself open to observe and watch what comes into the formation of that crystal. And each time I sit, it's different. So it's not like once you have that rock candy solid, you think, well, I got it. It doesn't work like that. Each time it's back to a solution, do you know? But that's been helpful for me. The other thing is, we talked about spaciousness. There's definitely times in my life where I just need to sit, and I say that as a sit in spaciousness, not have anything, particular in my mind, and watch sometimes things come up anyway, and when they keep coming up, that's a chance for you to go, that's I call it a repeated theme, and I think of that as a record, a groove, and something to be observed in myself and sat with until I return once again to spaciousness. But there's many ways to go about it, and I think the most important way is to find your own way. It's a journey. All of this is process. You'll walk your own path. We talked a little about borrowed robes yesterday, and I think that's a danger. We think we need to do it in a certain way, or we're taught that so-and-so did it this way, so this must be the way. And I think you have to be aware of that. There is only your way, the way you're going to walk. And trust that. That's a tough one. But as you keep going and walk on your own path, I think you gain trust in your own feet. And that's the best thing I can, say to everyone this morning. Trust your own path. See?
Chodo.
I was just following what Jim said. You know what? When we practice the contemplative aspect of our work, what we're doing is observing ourselves initially, seeing what's driving us. And that really, from my perspective, is my understanding of what we're doing this weekend, was looking at some real explosive areas. And implicit is always that we are not our thoughts. We have to remember that that's when we become driven by our greed, or our anger, our ignorance. So the first step is what it's been so wonderful this weekend, the sitting, the reflective moment. It's like, oh, I'm really angry. Well, that's very different from just being angry and thinking that you are anger, or that is you. But it's a step back. And so once we make that explicit, there's an I that's observing the animal I that is angry, or the animal I that is desiring, or the animal I that's denying, that's in ignorance. Then we've got space, that spaciousness that Jinpo just talked about, and that Koshin talked about. Then we begin to have some space on this, what we're calling poison. My concern for you is that you be really careful to have space there between, so that you don't begin to think that you're your thoughts, or to judge your swimming in the poisons. Not to judge that. That is an awareness that will help you to be of use to others. Because when you see that you're not your thoughts, then you can see that the others, when they're acting out, when they're caught in the dream, are not that. That's just their worst self right now under anger, greed, or delusion. So the key is that just little step back. So you be observing the self, observing that animal instinct that we have, which can be, as we have emphasized this weekend, transformed into generosity, compassion, wisdom, kindness, awareness. But we cannot judge ourselves or let our worst self judge our worst self. Then we begin to spiral down. And so that's a tendency sometimes when we begin to study the three poisons is, oh, I'm so greedy, I'm so angry, I'm blah, blah. So that's when we talk about spaciousness, that's what we're talking about, that little shard, as it were, this little place where we can have some perspective on ourselves. And so for me, that's the most important implicit action of this weekend, is for us to really to look at that and not to go away caught up in some judgment of ourselves or of others.
I think I know that I echo everything that has already been said, and just like to add that what you've heard this weekend, and we'll hear, for the rest of the morning, is really a combination of our collective wisdom and experience. It's not the truth. It's just how we've experienced these works and this life and the work that we do. As the Buddha said, on his death, ignore everything I've said and experience everything for yourself. So don't take what we've heard as the absolute. What you've heard from us is the absolute, because it's not authentic unless it's your experience. And everything that we've read from the books, the poetry, have touched, the things that I read touched me in a personal way. And Koshin and Roshi and Jinpo for the same. And we've all had our own individual experience whatever has been said and whatever we've heard. So please remember that. And when you go home, if something rankles you, you know, on your way home, you think, you know what? That really pissed me off, or actually I really identified with that. Wow. Be just as suspicious as that. Think about it for yourself and really sit with it. And I think the secret to all this work that we've done is to really allow it to settle in when we go home, to not sit on the cushion now till the next retreat, but to continue to sit daily and to continue to reflect. You know, as each of us has said, it's an ongoing process. It doesn't end this weekend and then begin at the next retreat. So please take great care of yourself and your thoughts and your actions.
I'm just thinking about coulda, woulda, shoulda, running away from the did, and it kind of really sums it up for me, you know, about really meeting our function and inhabiting our life. I think that's also what we've been talking about. It's like really not, you know, I could have done that, or I should have done that, or I should be this, or I should be that, or just really just being ourselves fully. I think that's what we're all talking about. And one of the things that, you know, some people feel that I don't know if I can survive, you know, really dealing with, you know, such intense contemplation and difficulty. And actually the image that's on the cover of your little booklets and on everything that we have is an image of Avalokiteshvara. And this particular Avalokiteshvara is from Hiroshima, and it was just outside this little temple where I trained, and she survived the atomic blast and still is so beautiful, right? So she can do it, and we could probably deal with a little contemplation, you know. But there's that kind of energy of, to me, that's like the courage. It's a symbol of courage and possibility of resilience. So to take the time and to, I like the word tender ourselves, it's actually something that we can do is to learn how to tender our hearts and our minds, to soften it all, and to be more and more of ourselves, just to keep widening out and to not limit who we think we are. And I think I know in my own life that's been the greatest tragedy, you know, like when I feel like I'm just this, or I am this, as opposed to, well, in this moment, I'm this. In the next moment, I can be something new. So, it's been... And I think also we're going into an important transition phase that we're going to sit for a little bit now, and we're going to chant, or we might be doing something else now.
We're doing something else. Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ignore
questions.
everything you've heard.
Don't believe the hype. So we're going to be doing something else right now, and
We're going to be hearing from you right now.
yeah. But I just wanted to say that, you know, after that we're going to be stripping our beds and filling out evaluation forms and things like that, and yet we're still in retreat. And this is a great practice time, actually, if you can not just leave in your mind but because we're coming back at 9:30 and going into it. So to just be aware, it's a great practice. And we'll be silent
Till 9:30.
till 9:30, but not right now because we're going to have question and answer.